Hey, this is AJ Donahue from Drum Magazine. I'm here with Gary and Grafia from Sonor Drums, and he's going to tell us a little bit about their new catalog for 2016. Gary.
Absolutely. So what we have here is the Select Force. We've actually eliminated two of the lines in the Force series, which is the Essential Force and the Ascent, which was a beech and a birch shell. We wound up with just the Select Force left, which is Canadian maple shells, and turned it into a shell pack for the first time. This was only offered for the last few years with hardware. Now we took the hardware out, 5-piece shell pack without a bass drum mount. It's a Virgin bass drum for $11.99, because we trimmed out those two of the lines. Just wasn't a high velocity mover for us, so we kind of trimmed everything down and really going to focus on what sells for us, which is the maple shell kits.
So you mentioned cutting down your catalog kind of en masse. What is it that made you want to do that?
Well, I think for a number of years, Sonor kind of was experimenting in different areas. I mean, Sonor is known for making high-quality gear and drums, and we wanted to make sure that we bring Sonor back to focusing on high-quality stuff, regardless of price. We want to be price-conscious. We want to be able to sell drums in the market, but at the same time, there are a lot of people fighting for low-end business and kits under $1,000, and I don't believe where Sonor needs to be. They need to be building the best drums on the planet, which is what we do.
Sure. Yeah. So what kind of features can buyers expect on this kit?
Well, Canadian maple shells, we have the tar isolation system, high gloss lacquers, the design lugs that mimic what's on the Pro Light in the high-end German series, and the price point. It's a great sounding kit, and it's something we've done for a while, but it's been about $300 or $400 more with the hardware pack. And as everybody knows, a lot of people buy drums as shell packs now, so yeah.
And it looks like it comes with Remo pinstripes on the toms?
It does come with Remo pinstripes, and I believe there's clear ambassadors on the bottom, which they are. So kit sounds great right out of the box, as you can imagine, with pinstripes, yeah.
Excellent. We've got a couple other things to look at?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right, so now we're standing here in front of the Vintage Series. What do we got going on here?
Well, the Vintage Series came out last year. Basically, Sonor just went back and really questioned a lot of the artists and the enthusiasts about what they wanted to see for a new product. And this is really what was born out of it. It basically is a vintage beech shell, which is the same shell that was used back on the original Teardrop series. If you look in the late 50s, 60s, and in the early 70s, the Teardrop series looked exactly like this. We basically rebuilt the kit with the same hoops, the same the old vintage style logo and badge, rounded bearing edges, beech shells, and all the sizes of true vintage to Sonor sizes. So yeah, and it's been a ridiculous hit. It's been great.
Yeah. So when you're recreating a vintage kit, do you try and approximate the way the kit sounded when they were new, or do you try and recreate some of the age that's come onto those vintage kits? Well,
the beautiful thing about being Sonor and being 140 years old is that the same people that built the original kit built these. So wow. You have people that have worked at the factory since the early 60s. In fact, we have some videos that will be up on YouTube, I believe, this week, where they interview people on the line who have actually built the old ones and are building the new ones. So to be honest with you, we don't mimic what they sound like after 40, 50 years. I think that's a pretty difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
But we have exactly recreated what we created back in the 60s and 70s, because the same people, same wood, same molds. You can't get any closer than that. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about these hoops?
Yeah, these are actually, they're called Super Profile hoops. Sonor did these back in the 60s. You take a look at this branded right there, the vintage Super Profile hoop. Many other companies did a similar hoop. People call them stick saver hoops, but these were actually done on the original series. We recreated them, remolded them, just like the Teardrop lugs. These lugs are almost identical to the original Teardrops, except that we do have our tune-safe system in there, which prevents the tension rods from backing out. Has an insert that just sits on the tension rod and creates some tension, so it won't pull out. So
we've got a little bit more to look at, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep rolling. Yeah. All right, so we're going to wrap up here at the Sonor booth with a look at the one-of-a-kind snare drums. Gary.
So a few years ago, Sonor came up with the concept of actually using one tree and using all the veneers for it to make a bunch of snare drums, as many as you can yield out of it. So this snare drum here is a poisonwood tree, and this is Pacific walnut burl. And what we do is we fell the tree, We make veneers out of it, and honestly, a lot of the veneers don't make the cut because it's a natural wood. And then we make drums, which have inner and outer veneers on these ones. Some in the past didn't have inners. Some woods are really difficult to actually put on the inside of the drum. Both of these we could. These are limited. I believe we're doing 50 only of the Pacific walnut, and I think 70 of the poison wood. It's been very successful. They're high-end drums. They retail around $3,000. And we're only going to have about 20 available here in the States. Worldwide, those are the numbers, but here, 20 of each in the States. So it's a great product, and they'll probably be sold before the show's up. So good stuff.
What's the what kind of shell is the veneer over?
The veneer is over a beech shell and also a maple shell. Two different shells for each one of them. Yeah.
And poison wood, does that do anything to the tone of the drum?
No, these are veneers. So the veneer is literally paper thin, and it doesn't really affect the sound of the drum whatsoever. Okay. Yeah.
And when you flipped it over, the plies look pretty thick on that drum. Is that something exclusive to these series?
I wouldn't say exclusive, but the thickness of the shell is really determined at the factory in Sonor. They decide, okay, let's make this a 16-ply maple shell. Let's make this a 10-ply beech shell. It's across some of the other drums that are in the line. In fact, we have a 27-ply snare drum that's 24 millimeters thick. That's really thick. But in an SQ2, you can order drums up to 10 or 12 ply. So.
Right. All right. Well, Gary, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.